What is your definition of BIM?
It is any collection of technologies, processes, and protocols to improve design, construction, and operation of assets across their life cycle. So you can throw anything at it, okay, and it still sticks. And that's intentionally a very broad definition of BIM, because the label is not important. What's important is what's common between these labels, whether it's BIM or you could apply, even if you want GIS and PLM and all these other acronyms and VDC and digital twin and whatever terms people like to use nowadays. It is about the same thing, about how to work collaboratively, use the right tools, optimize your processes, develop and use protocols, etc., in order to improve the built environment.
Oh, how do I define BIM? I always say that even though usually when you see BIM written, it's capital letters, capital B, capital I, capital M, I usually like to think of it as capital I and just a little b and a little m. Yeah, it's about a building. Yeah, there could be a model, but it's all about the information and how you can use the information.
I resonate so much with what you just said. This is amazing. Yeah.
I love being able to do stuff with the information. And too often in the early days, people were concerned about how to model three-dimensional geometry, when the real point of it wasn't necessarily modeling three-dimensional geometry unless you were trying to do renderings, or unless you were trying to do clash detection against it, in which case maybe you did need to get it a little bit more exact. But you didn't need to have such things as drawing in the grill on a piece of mechanical equipment, or a doorknob. It didn't make any sense to do that when you could just have a piece of information that said it was this kind of part, or it was this piece of hardware associated with the door. So it's less about the model, though that can be vital depending on what you're trying to do, as much as it is about the information.
Well, my definition of BIM, what I would like it to be or what it's today?
Both.
Both. Well, the easy answer, building information modeling, the combination of geometry, information, and an object-based way of accessing information, I would say. Yeah.
And what would you like it to be?
Well, I would like it to be used to its full extent.
Okay, so you are not very happy.
The difference on what is possibility and how it's used are quite different. And I also see the parallel when it comes to education. I think that, I don't know if it's a main problem, but a problem is that a lot of processes, a lot of companies, a lot of construction projects, they add BIM to the projects and they expect it to change everything. So they have their way of producing things, the way of producing projects, a way of planning their projects, which are traditional and which uses traditional methods like 2D drawings, and uses a traditional way of having a competition where they put in the different tenders and one is winning and so forth. And they think that the problems linked to that will change once that they get a three-dimensional model of that project. And that is not the case. Many of the problems linked to the construction industry is still there, even if we are more digital, and even if we have 3D models as well. And I see the same thing when it comes to education. So I'm going to say that my perspective is the educational one. So I talk about how can my students be good at BIM? How can they be productive in a BIM process? That's what I try to deliver. So I don't build hospitals, I don't build roads, but I'm hoping that my students will be capable and competent in the new jobs. So that's my product.
What is BIM? BIM is, for me, a connector, a connection point for everything. Therefore, it's the static data in a building. So we have a lot of dynamic data, like weather and traffic and economy and all of those. But the BIM is the snapshot of the static data in a building. So you can visualize it, you can through simulation on it, through fire recommendations and U values or something. So you can use those parameters to simulate the dynamic data. So it's just a connector for me, BIM.
What is BIM? Well, BIM is defined by as many people as you talk to. There's always a short answer and there's a long answer. So the short answer is BIM is a process. It's a way of working. It's not an object or a physical entity. So that's a very short version of it. Now, if you'd like a long version, if you have time for it, I'll give you a better definition, which I like much better.
Of course, of course.
So I would say that BIM is a collaborative, and the word is collaborative, production, management, and dissemination of information, where all parties involved on a project use a 3D application tool, whatever that is, and to produce the graphical information and other information like scheduling, cost plans, performance requirements, programs, sustainability information, operational maintenance is also included, and it's stored in a common data environment, right? So that everybody that needs to can have the correct information, just the right amount of information in the right format at the right time. All right, so that's my definition of BIM.